Thank you, ladies. So back to my makeup tutorial and nutritional advice. That's why I love doing live stuff. I can't follow script because this is so fun. It's real life. So we've been on a series of summer shreds because this is the time to lose weight for summer and never get it back. We talked about last week on our call that it's okay to have some fluctuation of weight, but not a lot. I do not want you going up and down 10, 15, 20 pounds on your weight ever, unless you get pregnant or you get sick or something. But in normal conditions, I don't want you going through that. I would say for most of us, 5 pounds would be a reasonable amount of weight. And let me tell you, as someone who's about to turn 40 in a few months, it gets harder, to lose those 5 pounds. As you know, I do bodybuilding, so I do have to fluctuate my weight a lot if I plan on growing my muscles a lot. So we're not talking about normal standards here. We're talking about a sports. We're talking about something that's performance based. So I remember my last bulk, I gained about, I want to say 15 to 20 pounds. And let me tell you, it was hard coming out of it. It was hard. So I do not recommend, especially for us ladies above 35, one more item because now it looks so much better. I look a little clown, but it will smooth out with time. And so yeah, I don't want you gaining that much weight ever again. So this, all the things that we're going to talk about. Yes, I want you to lose weight for summer because we definitely use less clothes in summer. Some of us, I pretty much stay same. Just kidding. I don't use many clothes ever. Just kidding. I do. But summertime, no, we're usually at the beach, we're in our bikinis, we're eating less because it's hotter. So it just makes sense to lose a little bit of weight for summer. But then in winter, you can get it a little bit back, but let's keep it to 5 pounds. So all those things we're going to talk about today, it's in order for you to have a sustainable weight loss. We talked about this also last week that the thing that prevents most of us from losing weight and keeping it off is because we go too fast, we go too intense, and we just can't hold it. So keep it on. At the end, I open up for questions. I'm already going to let you know this is not going to be done in 30 minutes. I'm probably going to talk for about 40 to 45 because look at me. I got notes. You couldn't read this if you tried. Not even I can. But at the end, we'll open for questions, okay? And if we need to go a little bit over, I don't have a problem with that. My only commitment tonight is going to do my cardio. That's it. So yeah, you received an email with some items that we're going to discuss today. Item number 2, so we have 3 items to talk, and inside them, like we have, and you can keep sending chats, things here on the chat, okay? Because I'm here. I forgot to go live on TikTok. Bear with me. We're going to go live on TikTok today. This is going to be interesting. So the 3 items we're going to talk about today is first, how to preserve muscles during a cut. Second, best pace for weight loss. Third, how to stay lean without wrecking your metabolism. That's gonna be amazing. So remember, any questions you girls have at any point of time, just let me know. You can send them over here. I might answer them right at the bat, or I might just hold them towards the end of the call, okay? Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. So, how to preserve muscle mass during a cut? There's a few ways. For those of you who don't know what a cut is nothing but like you trying to lose weight. So I'm talking about a cut, means you're cutting weight. You're cutting. It's just a term that we usually use on bodybuilding. Cut, you're losing weight. Bulking, you're gaining weight. Cut, preferably you're losing body fat. On a bulking, you're preferably putting muscle mass, but it comes a little bit of fat too. So how to preserve muscle during a cut, meaning like when you are doing a cut and your calories are low, most of the times, if not 100% of the times, you will lose muscle. So if you're losing weight, you're also losing muscle. Now there's a ratio between how that happens. Ideally, we don't want you to lose a lot of muscle. Absolutely not. I want you to lose as least amount of muscle mass as possible. The goal is to have you lose the vast majority body fat and not muscle mass. Because if you lose fat, but you also lose muscle, at the end of the day, you're going to be smaller, but your body fat is going to probably be the same and it's not going to be a good look on you. So we're going to do all things we can in order to just lose body fat, keep the muscle. Okay. And now there are three things we can do in order to do that. That I've seen to work most with my clients and work most with me on all the preps that I've done and all the shenanigans that I've done in my life, which number one is you need a high protein diet. Now that is almost like common sense right now, right? Everybody knows the importance of protein. Everybody knows it's a buzzword right now. Everything is high protein this, high protein that. Mm, don't mind me as I play with my hair. Everything is high protein, but what is high protein? I think one of the things that the most people get it wrong, especially most women over the age, let's say 45 or even 40, is they have a different idea or a different sense of what high protein is. And high protein means high, probably much higher than what you're thinking. Ideally, we were talking about 1 gram. We talked about this last week. Guadeloupe, je t'aime, Lionel. We talked about this last from the last calls. It's about 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight. Once again, I'm at 150 right now. I gained 2 pounds on the last weekend because there was a lot of partying involved, hence my voice. But I'm trying to get to 140, 142 towards the end of this month for my swim week catwalk. So I'm trying to eat around 140 grams of protein, not 150 because that's not my ideal body weight. I'm trying to get it to out to 140. Easy. And but one thing I'm gonna talk about, it is a little bit controversial and most people don't abide by that, but I do, is that the older you get, the more protein you need for several reasons, because your capacity of converting that protein into actual muscles starts decreasing. So a 20-year-old can eat a burger a day and not a lot of the things and have incredible muscle mass, right? That's easy for her. Us, on the other side of the spectrum, on the other hand, we have to eat more protein. We have to be more adamant about our protein because once again, the let's say 100 grams of protein for a 20-year-old is not gonna be the same 100 grams of protein for a 50-year-old. Our capacity to turn over that protein into muscle mass gets decreased. Therefore, I would highly recommend if you are 35 and plus, 40 and plus, start slowly increasing your protein intake. And why do I say slowly? Because I understand that protein is hard to eat. You guys know I'm Brazilian. I'm Brasileira. I grew up eating a lot of meat. It's like steak, rice, and beans and potatoes. That's the staple Brazilian meal. We have some Brazilians in the house. So it's easy for me. Um, but I understand that the older we get, it's harder because not only we lose appetite for good things, I never saw anybody lose appetite for bad things, but we lose appetite for good things, and its digestion sometimes can get a little harder. So I would suggest you slowly start increasing your protein intake. You can go up to like 1.5 grams of protein per ideal body weight. And there's some studies that showed, I think they've gone up to like 2.5 grams of protein per body weight and no harm is done. Like the body just literally pisses out, piss off, pisses out whatever protein is not utilized. So there's no storage mechanisms for protein. So don't be afraid of overeating protein. Okay, that's number one way of uh, preserving muscle mass while doing a cut. Number two, yes, I'm peeking at my notes. Number two is strength training. Also, a big buzzword lately, but I like to say the why of things. I notice a lot of times people like are doing so many things and they are just following the trends, but they're not asking questions. And if you don't know the why you're doing things, you're most likely not to keep doing them. So ask yourself, Google it, ask a coach, ask someone who knows about it. Why strength training? Why not cardio? Why not this? Why not classes? I'll tell you why. You want to know? Because strength training is going to work on your muscles, not on like burning your muscles away. There's we're going to talk about here the difference between a little bit of strength training and classes precisely. Okay, so strength training is going to challenge your muscles. You're going to contract, extend, and contract the muscle fibers all the time when doing properly. Let's say you're doing a bicep curl. Here, my biceps completely extended, like I couldn't extend it more. Here, it's completely contracted. Ah. That movement, that motion, the friction between the muscle fibers, ooh, not contracted so hard. The friction between the muscle fibers causes little micro tears. Those micro tears, the body perceives as an injury, as like something's being destroyed. So after you're done with your session, the body's going to send nutrients there and amino acids, hence the high protein intake, because protein gets converted into amino acids gets converted into solid muscles. Yeah. I haven't taken my pre-workout yet, but I'm just too excited to talk to you. So those tears, body sends amino acids, you rebuild them, you build muscles. Uh, that's a way of not losing muscle. That's very, very self-explanatory, right? Why not classes? Well, when you do classes, the vast majority of classes, and if you want to ask about any classes in specific, please say so. Um, Classes don't have necessarily the right intensity and the right load and the right cadency to work your muscles in a way that's going to convert into hypertrophy. Hypertrophy means bigger muscles, okay? So let's say you're doing, if you know me, you know I'm a big, what's the word I'm looking for? Critic of kickboxing, not kickboxing, Jules. I say the kickboxing of like berries and Orange Theory. I'll get to your thing in a second, okay, Julie? Um, because they are only, and we're gonna talk about this on the next item, but they're only making your muscles challenged very little. They're not giving you a proper rest so you can get your muscles to actually get to work again. And you're just on a state of intensity that is doing nothing but burning your muscles and increasing your cortisol overall. And I might be wrong, but I think the vast majority of us already have a lot of cortisol, right? Cortisol is stress hormone. I don't think we need any more cortisol. And yes, strength training also increases cortisol, but it's a very targeted increase, especially when done properly, because you're going to increase during the session and you're going to decrease and tell your body to shut down after the session, because it's a super, when done properly, super high intensity stimulus on your body. So when you're doing like your bicep curl and you bring your muscles to a fatigue, man, I'm getting lean. Check these guns out. I love this game. I love this game. Sorry, get distracted. So when you're doing a bicep curl, a squat, any exercise you want, and you bring those muscles to fatigue, you increase your peak, your heart rate, your level of effort, of intensity to almost maximum, and then you rest. You can't do such thing. Thanks, Boo Boo. Yeah, it does feel intense. You can't do such thing at a class because you are on there like for 45 to 50 minutes nonstop, going from place to place. That's not muscle centric, that's cardio centric. You're definitely increasing your cardiorespiratory capacity. I understand the social aspect of it, of course I do, but that's not gonna help you keep your muscles on a cut. Now, we can talk more about this later because if not, I'm gonna be here for the next 30 minutes. Okay, so how to keep your muscles during a cut? One, high protein intake. Two, strength training, not classes. Oh, Julie wanted to know about kickboxing. Boo boo, kickboxing is also another great cardio activity and is great as a skill set, but not for muscle building. You might see like some toning on your upper body or on your legs, but you're not going to be able to properly grow muscles. Unless you're doing specific training for that, like with excess weights or like some type of training that is adjacent, is that a word? Adjacent to the proper kickboxing training. But just the kicks and the punches, they're not gonna make you more muscular. Now, what they might do is like cause you to be on a calorie deficit and make you leaner and make your muscles pop out more. But if you're doing just a kickboxing, that's not gonna happen, okay? Number 3 is slow intensity cardio, and or high intensity cardio. I'm going to explain briefly the difference between both and how I'd like you doing cardio if you're trying to build muscle or keep your muscle while on a calorie deficit. And that's the reason the other day I was ranting and just having some fun on Instagram because I love triggering people. I'm a constructive bully. You're welcome, boo. I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. I survived Y2K. I survived the plague. So I'm a constructive bully. All the bully I do is for building reasons. So I was on the other day here on Instagram saying that um, anybody can be skinny because all you need to do is just not eat, right? The trick is how to be lean and have enough muscle mass. That is the trick and that is the challenge because once again, if you put anybody tie up their hands and tie up their mouth, they're gonna be lean. They're gonna be skinny because they're gonna lose body fat and they're gonna lose muscle. But have keeping your muscles and losing all the body fat. That's the trick. That's the goal, and that's what is so particular about what I do and what I'm obsessed about, which is muscles and lean. So difference between low static cardio at what we call LISS, like low intensity steady state cardio, and hit high intensity interval training. So when you talk about zones, the low intensity cardio would be what some people call the zone 2 cardio, which is, don't quote me on that, but I think like from 70 to 80% of your maximum heart rate. And what that will do, that's not necessarily going to burn fat, but that's going to cause your body to be on a calorie deficit. It's going to help, it's not going to cause, it's going to help your body to get into a calorie deficit by just burning calories over a long extended period. And by long, I mean at least 30 minutes up to 60. You can do more, but I just wouldn't recommend it. Um, and that's just gonna, once again, it's gonna burn lots of calories. It's gonna be a low intensity, so you're not gonna exert your muscles too much. You're not gonna burn through your muscles. You're just gonna contract, like it's a mild contraction on your muscles, and it's a mild increase in your respiration and your heart rate. So you're gonna be able to maintain as much as possible those muscles that you already have. That's what I recommend. That's what I do. I do lots of LISS cardio, especially now that I'm getting ready for shows for my season. The other part of the equation is the high intensity interval training, which some people would known as Tabata. No, people don't call it Tabata here, right? Tabata, which is super, 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 super high intensity effort, close to failure, followed by extremely low and rest and recovery. I'm going to finish explaining this and I'm going to tell you how this is not the same as berries or Orange Theory or any other class you're going to do. So when you talk about this, let's say on a treadmill, you're sprinting, and I want you to sprint as fast as you can or as long as you can. Now that effort, the effort part probably wouldn't go anywhere longer than 30, 40 seconds because if it has, then it's really not that intense. And then you have a long period of rest. If done properly with a super high intensity on the peak and a super recovery on the valley, like meaning a longer recovery, probably to the point that you can actually do your sprint again. That is the way you're going to trigger your body to utilize as much like fat cells as possible. Uh, and when done to a medium intensity, think like this: the more intense you go, the more fat cells your body is going to recruit to perform that activity. If you go medium intensity, you're gonna be burning between fat and carbohydrates, meaning your muscles. We don't want that. Okay, so go super intense and then super low on the rest. Um, any questions about that? Okay, yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. The difference between a HIIT session, high intensity interval training, and a class is because when you do classes, you're not really ever going to the high intensity. You're never ever really going to the peak of intensity that you could do. Nobody goes to Barry's and sprints to the point that they need a 3 to 4 minute recovery. And if they do, I know for sure the instructor is not going to let them rest for 3 to 4 minutes. He's going to have them do a plank or do some push-ups or do some other things, some air squats. That's not really rest. So that's what the difference between a lot of people who do all those classes, they only really burn through their muscles. Once again, great cardiovascular activity, amazing for your heart rate, for your heart health, for your capacity, your stamina, your endurance capacity. Not as good for your muscles. Not as good for your muscles. You will eventually burn through your muscles to a certain extent, okay? Je t'aime, mon amour. Hi, my love. Give a shout out to Coach Sonia, straight from Canada. So, item number one, we said how to keep your muscles during a cut, and three sub items is high protein intake, strength training, and proper cardio, meaning less low intensity and high intensity. Okay, super low intensity, longer form, high intensity, short form, 10 to 20 minutes, low intensity, 30 to 60 minutes. How often do I want you to do strength training? As often as you can. I would recommend 5 times a week if you can. That would be ideal. If you can do only two, that's fine. If you can do three, that's fine. But if possible, do five, six. You could do seven if you want. We just need to know how to split the muscle groups correctly, okay? Item number two is best pace for weight loss. That's one thing we talked about on the last session a lot, that a lot of people, they go super, super intense and super fast. So they lose a lot of weight, but they can't sustain it. And the body will eventually regain all that weight back, if not more. Why? Our bodies have a set fat state, meaning there's a certain amount of body fat that your body feels comfortable with, that your body is like thriving. And it changes from person to person, and it changes from time to time. The longer you are on a certain weight, the more your body is used to that fat ratio, and it takes that as maintenance, it takes that as balance, it takes that as like, we're thriving here, we're going to stay here. Your body is always fighting against change, and your body is always trying to get back to maintenance, get back to like equilibrium, to like level levels. Aye, aye. So if you lose fat too fast, your body is not going to understand what's happening. So it's going to, like, let's say you drop 10 pounds in a week, your body's going to be like, what the is actually happening? Let me do something physiologically on a cellular level, on a hormonal level, that's going to make me recover that body weight. So it's going to increase your hunger hormones. It's going to decrease your metabolism. It's going to make you lazier. It's going to make you move less. So all those beautiful things happen to you when you lose weight too fast. Hence the importance of like knowing a good pace to lose weight. And what's a good pace? Most studies, most articles, scientific articles, they say 1 to 2 pounds per week is an okay level, an ideal rate for females to lose body weight per week. Now, I have a little bit of a different point of view of that, because I think it depends a lot. How much weight does that person have? How much does she has to lose? On both ends of the spectrum, right? If she's too lean already and she only has like maybe 4 pounds to lose, let's say a woman who's 110, a tiny woman, tiny woman, she's 110 and she wants to go to 105. So to lose those 5 pounds, she's not going to lose that in 5 weeks, because 1 pound for her represents a big percentage of her body weight. So hers is probably going to take a little longer. It should take longer because if not, she's going to be too intense, too aggressive on the metabolism, right? Same thing happens on the other end of the spectrum. People who are overweight, people who have a lot of weight to lose. Let's say somebody who's weighing 250 pounds on a 5'2" frame. If she loses 1 pound per week, it will take a long time for her to be on a healthy weight. We do not need that. We do not need to wait all that. There's ways of doing that she can do lose weight a little bit faster on a better rate and just have it still on a healthy weight. So I would say 1 to 2 pounds of your whole body weight per week is okay for average weighted people. But if you're either too tiny or too big, I would almost like recommend 1% of your whole body weight per week. So let's say this lady who's 250 pounds, if she lost 2.5 pounds per week, I think she'd still be in a healthy, sustainable ratio. And the girl who's on the other spectrum, she's 110, 1% would still be 1 pound. That would be too much, I think. She'll probably go a little bit lower. I would recommend at least. Okay, ladies, that is a great ratio. So, and like I said, the reason why we do that, there's another reason too. Not just so your body will not fight you back and make you hungrier and lazier in order for you to recover that weight back. Also, another thing that not a lot of people talk about, but it's the skin. You know, if you have a lot of weight, I don't want to say a lot, but if you have, let's say, 10 pounds to lose, and you're petite like me, I'm 5'4". I'm a I'm a giant midget or a mighty giant, a tiny giant, whatever. Uh, there's some skin that gets loose. I've lost and gained weight so many times in my life. The first time being ever when I was 21 at an exchange program here in America. I gained, I want to say, like, I never really measured, but I want to say maybe 35 to 40 pounds. So when I started losing that, the first 7 pounds that came out, like, not the first 7 pounds, the first half of it, they came like this in 7 months. So I remember I came back to Brazil in like July. By December, January, I was like half my weight had been gone. I did nothing. I just got back to my normal schedule. And but I was left with some skin left, which sucks. So if you lose fat too fast, think of it. This is the skin layer, this is the fat, and there's some muscle. Wait, I need props. I need props. I need props. Can you see this? Let's pretend this is my mic. Okay, get your mind off the gutter. This is my mic. This is muscle. This is fat. This is the skin. If you drop your fat too fast, do you realize this gap that's remain right here? The skin takes longer to adapt than the fat. It's two different types of tissues. Skin takes longer to adapt to start because your skin's gonna have to keep like making things to like get attached to the muscle. Because if not, you're gonna be like that loose skin. It's gonna be that skin that like is kind of like flappy and fluffy and like yucky. That's one of the another great reason that you don't. Oh, sorry, completely brought you guys. That you don't want to lose weight too fast. So take your time, take it slow, and do it just once. Okay. So first thing we're going to talk about today, how to preserve muscles during a cut. We talked about it. The three sub items are strength training, high protein diet, and the correct cardio. Second thing is best pace for weight loss. We talked about 1 to 2 pounds a week or 1% of your body weight per week. Third thing we're going to talk about is, third and last, we can go to questions, is how to stay lean without wrecking your metabolism. And there's three things also I want to talk to you about real quick, and they're mostly regarding nutrition. Some of them are regarding just habits. So when you are on a calorie deficit, excuse me, like I just talking about, your body is gonna I think all of you understand what calorie deficit is, right? So let's say your basal metabolic rate, your TDE is 2000 calories. You start at 1500 calories. This gap right here between what you should be eating to maintain your body weight and what you're eating right now, that's the gap. Thanks, Gabby, where you're going to lose weight, right? Between, because you're putting less energy in your body than what you need. So you're going to be losing weight while you do this, hopefully just body fat, not muscle. But what your body's going to do is always going to try to catch up. The body's always going to try to match your freak. The body's always going to match your freak. Hey, is somebody going to match my freak? So if you're eating 1500 calories, your body will slowly decrease your metabolic rate, slowly decrease in order to match your freak. So it will eventually be at 1500 calories. And what you do by then, you decrease your calorie again. But do you understand how flawed the system is? Because there's only so low you can go on your calories. How low can you go? I'm so musical today. Must be the influence of the weekend. So just keep lowering your calories is not going to cut it, is not going to do it. There has to be some other system, some other um, strategies that we use in order to make this better. And of course, there are. I came here to share them with you. 3 things we can do. First thing is called refeed meals, also known as cheat meals. The art is formerly known as cheat meals. A lot of people don't like to say cheat meals because it gets a negative connotation. I think it's so fun, a cheat meal. Oh, nothing like a nice cheat meal when you're on a super restricted diet and your coach tells you, go have a burger and fries and milkshake. Ah, it's dreamy. I'm want to get straight on my diet now just so I can have a cheat meal close to my show because it's glorious when you abstain yourself from that food for such a long time and then you eat it. Ah, very few things taste better than that. So one of the strategy number one is a cheat meal. And what is a cheat meal? A cheat meal is simply a meal. So a meal, not a day, not a weekend, a meal. You sit down, you have a meal, you stand up, and that's it. Okay. A meal that you eat more calories, that you really not going to be paying much attention to your macros. You're going to eat a high calorie meal. Example, a burger. Some people like pizza, some people like pasta, and it's usually higher in carbohydrates. I would always recommend it so you keep the same amount of protein, let's say 30 to 40 grams of protein per your refeed meal, your cheat meal, but definitely go overboard on your carbohydrates because carbohydrates have the capacity to have that incredible boost in your metabolism, your incredible like spike in your insulin. Your body's gonna be like, your metabolism gonna be like, oh my God, she's giving a sugar diet. It's like the minions, like the body's like the minions when you feed carbohydrates. Or do you guys remember? I'm gonna date myself here. What was that movie, The Goonies, that had? No, it was not The Goonies. Whatever. I'm not gonna remember now, especially not in English. But so when you put a lot of carbohydrates in your body, especially when you have been on a calorie deficit for a while, that causes a a temporary, a momentary increase in the metabolic rate. But sometimes it's just enough. So let's say your metabolic rate is here 2000, your calorie intake is like 1500. As you're catching up, a good coach is going to be able to say like, you're slowing down your fat loss, you're getting a little sluggish, you get a little cranky. I think it's time for a refeed meal. You boost your calorie up to, let's say, 2500 or even just 2000, and then where your metabolism is going to be like, oh, we can breathe again, and then immediately you drop down to 1500 again, and you're going to keep low. See? But that also, so that's a great technique for you to do. You can do on a weekly basis. You can do every other week. You can do maybe once a month. It's really up to you where you are, where you're trying to go, where you're trying to achieve. If you are, let's say, training for summer, and that's the topic of the show, Amanda Lifestyle Show, I would say don't do it until you absolutely must, because it's not like I mean, you do have a body goal, but if you're really not hungry and if you're still losing weight and if you're still comfortable with your nutrition, don't do it. But if you feel like you're getting, like I said, too sluggish or too hungry or hangry, and if you see that your fat loss ratio is starting to slow down, then by all means, insert a refeed meal there. But super important to emphasize refeed meal. It doesn't work if you turn a refeed meal into a refeed weekend, okay? Um, so bear with me. Second thing is diet breaks. A diet break, one could say it's very similar to a refeed meal. It's just a little bit more extended time. So a diet break is you're going to increase your calorie intake to maintenance levels, and you're going to do that for a little bit longer. Just a second. Family emergency. It's not emergency. I love life stuff. I love life stuff. Sorry, I can't do two things at the same time, even though I'm a woman. Diet break. My brother's been buzzing me here. I forget to keep doing that in a silent mode on my phone. Sorry, guys. Diet break. So you're going to increase your calorie intake into maintenance levels, because remember, your maintenance level is 2,000. You're eating 1,500, going low, 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 low. And when you get into a diet break, meaning you're right here, you're going to increase your metabolism. So you're going to eat a little bit on a level, but you can't go higher. A refeed meal, you probably go a little bit higher than your maintenance levels. A diet break, you go to your maintenance levels, because the goal is not to gain a single pound. It's just really like level up your maintenance levels, your basal metabolic rate, so you can get into a calorie deficit again. Now, how often should you do that? You can do that. There's some studies that show some people do like 2 weeks on a diet, 1 week on a diet break. Some people do 4 weeks on a diet, 1 week on a diet break. Some people will do maybe 5 days on a diet, 2 days on a diet break. So there's not a lot of studies around it yet. It's something that is kind of recently discovered. Maybe I want to say maybe a couple of years. No, Gabby, reverse dieting is something else, but we can talk about it. As soon as I'm done, we'll talk about reverse dieting, but absolutely amazing question. Okay, that is a great, great question. Oi, Dedezinha. So really diet break is just up to you for you to play. So you should see that if you're not, let's say too in a hurry to lose weight and you're more concerned about enjoying life a little bit more, a good split would be 2 weeks on a calorie deficit, a week on a diet break, because then you always know that you're gonna have that week that you're gonna be able to eat a little bit more and like have a little bit more wiggle room to play with your calories. Okay. Third thing we're gonna talk about is on how to not wreck your metabolism is rest. Cortisol. You need to lower your cortisol. We're all, like I just talked about it a little bit, we're all running on extremely high cortisol levels. Like we're all stressed. We're all doing too much. We're all doing so many things at a time. So we all constantly, chronically stressed with chronic high levels of cortisol. Um, so we need to change that. We need to change that. And like dieting too much, it will increase your cortisol. And what are ways of doing that? Everybody needs to find out your own chi, your own thing to decrease your cortisol. For some people, it's going to be stepping outside, some grounding, stepping on the sand, on the ocean, on the grass. Having a pet really helps you decrease your cortisol levels. Having community, having conversations with friends, having people in your life that you can talk, you can share things, you can have like a social life, reading a book, getting a massage, going to a sauna, stepping outside, getting a tan, booking a trip to Ibiza, like all those things help you lower your cortisol. So, and why do I say that is because one of the one of the biggest things that wreck your metabolism is that chronic cortisol on the super high levels. And dieting, even though it is a cortisol producer, there's ways of doing that you can maybe not be as destructive on the body. So how to not wreck your metabolism while dieting. Implement refeed meals, aka cheat meals. Implement diet breaks if you're thinking of a longer period of diet. 3, manage your cortisol better. Avoid extra stupid stress at all costs. Don't let stress of life kill your gains, kill all the things you've been doing for your body, okay? Now, before we wrap it up, I'm going to do a quick recap. But before even that, I'm going to talk and answer Gabby about reverse dieting. And if you want, my love, we can talk about this a little bit more on the Q&A, okay? You can ask like more specifically. But reverse dieting is when you've come to a, like at the end of a cut, at the end of a calorie deficit period. So let's say started 2000, went to 1500, metabolism catching up, you get down to 1400, 1300, 1200, you got to your goal. Let's say it was your trip, you traveled, you went on vacation 2 weeks, you crushed it. Now you're back to normal life. You're not gonna go back to eating 2000 calories because your metabolism is probably a little bit low here. Probably not gonna be at 1200 because I'm assuming on vacation you ate and you drank and you rested. So let's say it's probably like 1500 your metabolism. If you go back to your old maintenance level, which is 2000, that gap is going to make you gain weight. So what you need to do is reverse dieting means nothing but slowly increasing your calories in a way that you're going to be able to increase your metabolic rate again. So let's say you get back at 1500, you can start eating 1500 and then you eat 1600 for about a week. And this might come with a little bit of gain in weight, but it's going to be make your metabolism increase. And then you increase to 1700. And that's still the point. So slow and small increments of calorie intake in order to boost your metabolism back up. So then eventually you can get into another cut or just stay at maintenance if you're happy with your body the way it is. Quick recap, things we talked about today. How to preserve muscle during a cut. And the 3 ways we can do that is strength training, high protein diets, and proper cardio, knowing the good ratio between slow cardio and fast cardio. Number 2, the good rate of losing body fat. And the good rate is 1 to 2 pounds per week or 1% of body weight per week if you're on the extremities of weight brackets. Third thing is how not to wreck your metabolism while you're on a cut, while losing body fat. And the strategies that I gave you are refeed meals, also known as cheat meals, diet breaks, and managing your cortisol. I shut up. The lesson is done. Hope you guys liked it. I told 45 minutes, it's 47. I almost nailed it. Almost nailed it. I'm open for questions, concerns, comments. Bring them on. My people here on Instagram, my people here in Zoom. So guys on Instagram, if you don't know, I do these calls every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my private group, my inner circle of my followers, my former clients, my current clients. So if you like the links for that, because I'm not always transmitting this on Instagram, send me your email, send me via email or DM, whatever, so you can get on the list, you can get the links, okay? Ladies, questions, bring them on. Last session we had here, we had the most amazing questions. It helps everybody when you ask questions. Gabby, did I answer your question about reverse dieting? Are you satisfied with my answer? I should also remember to bring some water when I am here talking my lungs out. Perfect. You're welcome, Gabby. Any more questions, everybody? Everybody, and remember, this can be about any topic. It doesn't have to be Paulinho. It doesn't have to be about a topic that we talked about here. No, it can be about my love life. Just kidding. I'm not answering about those anymore. It can be about any training specific, any about regarding your nutrition, anything regarding like even your mindset in order to do that. The reason why I'm doing this calls is because I noticed there's so much more to share regarding fitness, regarding just life of being healthy that, I it's just a post on Instagram and the contact that I have with my clients on a day-to-day basis is not enough. I need more. I need to share. I need to pour out more towards you because there's a lot to be said and discussed in this life regarding fitness and health. But if you guys don't have any questions, we're gonna call it off. We're gonna wrap it up. Is that it? Is that it? Are you gonna set me free for my cardio? Ha. Thank you, Vaneshka. Yes, I can. Absolutely can. Vaneshka is asking. Thank you, ladies. Look, just a little bit of pressure. You start releasing the questions. I love that. So the two difference between the two types of cardio, the less cardio, which is low intensity, steady state cardio, and the HIIT cardio, high intensity interval training. Less cardio is you're gonna be between, I would say, once again, don't quote me on that, but 70 to 80% of your maximum heart rate. You're gonna do for a longer period of time, so maybe at least 30 minutes is I would recommend, maximum 60 minutes. And it's gonna be hard enough that you're gonna increase your heart rate a little bit, but you would be able to maybe keep a conversation. So if you're doing incline walk, I'm a big fan of incline walk. For vast majority of my clients, a 10% incline at a 3 miles per hour, a little bit more, a little bit less, that would do the job. And the goal for that is because the intensity is good enough, but not too intense. It's gonna make your body recruit amino acids from your muscle cells in order to fuel that activity. So when you do a low intensity, that's amazing because it's gonna burn a lot of calories, but it's not gonna use a lot of muscle if ideally none other amino acids to fuel that activity. High intensity interval training is a short cardio, so I would say 10, maximum 20 minutes. And the goal is to go as intense as you can, close to like on a RPE, which is an effort, a perception of effort scale, the 0 to 10. You go like maybe to a 9 or a 10, and then you recover. I would say the effort should go anywhere between 20 to 40 seconds maximum. And recovery is going to go for as long as you need, honestly, in order to do the sprint again. And you can think of that like for most of my clients, I wouldn't recommend sprinting on a treadmill. What I would recommend is sprinting uphill on a treadmill. I love that. So you can put the incline on a treadmill like at 15. Some treadmills go a little bit higher even, but 15, you can run on an incline. It's extremely hard. When I do it, I run at 4 miles per hour on a 15% incline, and I probably couldn't do it for more than 40 seconds because it's super intense. And then I just rest for maybe 40 seconds again, a minute, and then I go again. You will do that, like I said, for 10 to 20 minutes, and then that's it. The goal with that high intensity interval training is it's going to recruit not just only, but the vast majority of the fuel used is going to be fat cells. So you're going to get all the free fatty acids on your body, and you're going to use that in order to fuel that activity. The best of worlds for fat loss and keeping your muscle mass is if you get a mixture of those two. So maybe I would do like 2 days a week where you do a high intensity training, and 5 days a week where you do a low intensity cardio. High intensity cardio, low intensity cardio. I usually, when I prescribe training for my clients, I put high intensity training, high intensity cardio on the days that you're training upper body because it's a little bit less taxing on a female body. Okay. So if you have program and you have days where you're doing only upper body, have those days and do the high intensity. You can do an assault bike. You can do burpees. Everybody loves doing burpees. You can do battle rope. There's all these things. It doesn't have to necessarily even be a machine. It can be an activity that you're just moving your body as fast as you can. So imagine a burpee. You're doing a burpee like as fast as you can, as intense as you can for, let's say, 40 seconds. But I want to see you go like bananas. It's not just, oh yeah, this is hard. No, it's like A lion's gonna eat me if I don't do this as fast as I can. Did I answer, Vaneshka? Let me know if you need like any more specifications about the difference between the two types of cardio, okay? But what I don't want you to do though is the middle ground. I think that's where the enemy lies. If you go slow and long, that's amazing. You guys, your mind is on the gutter. If you go fast and intense, that's also amazing. Burns fat, burns fat. The middle here, which is Barry's boot camps, Orange Theory classes, F45, Sweat 440, all those things. That's when you burn the vast majority of muscles. You burn a little bit of fat, but you're also burning muscles. So I don't want to see you running at a medium intensity for 40 to 60 minutes. That's going to burn your muscles. That's the reason why marathon runners, they look like they look, and sprinters look like they look. Okay. Second question, Fabienne, what's supposed to be the percentage of body fat compared to muscle? So it depends on what measurement device you use, my love, or method you use. You know, some people use calipers, which mean those things that you know, like when you pinch your skin to see, because that caliper, when you pinch it, is gonna give you a millimeter measurement, and that's gonna be able to tell like roughly the amount of fat cells that you have between the skin and the muscle. Some scales, like I just bought an amazing like smart scale that has like it sends like emits pulses to my body, and it checks the density of tissues, and it understands based on the tissue difference and the tissue density how much of it is fat, how much of it is muscle, how much of it is bone, how much of it is just organs. But that uses a whole different other equation rate. DEXA scan uses a whole different other equation. So it depends. I think the vast majority of one that you're gonna find out there that people use the most, it's gonna be for women, for healthy women, it's gonna be, I think, 20 to 30%. Now, I personally think that's a little bit too high. 30%, I think that's too high. I think and knowing you, my love, I think you are looking anywhere from like 15 to 22%, 25 like during winter time, 15% during summertime. Just so you have an idea, I think now I'm lying at 18% on the scale that I have. My goal is to get close to 12% for sure. Now I don't 12%, even though I love it, I don't think it's sustainable, at least not for me. So my goal when I'm just maintenance, I'm not trying to lose weight, is 13 to 15%. I think that's a good, for my body, for the look that I like, a good maintenance level. Okay. Any more questions? Any more questions? Are we done? Are we done? Can I go do cardio? So I can get back to this next weekend leaner. I think we should all just get on this together. Should we just do a group text thread where we all share our weights on a daily basis? No, that's gonna cause anxiety on all of you. You ain't ready. I'm not ready for that. But guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you everybody for joining. Like you girls, you're on Zoom, you're already getting the emails. Amazing. Make sure to get all these videos are gonna be uploaded to YouTube. Guys on Instagram, you're welcome, my love. Make sure you send me an email or a DM asking for the links. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Gabby, let me see what you said. Just here to say that I love your stance on the type of man we need today versus stay away from. Oh yeah, baby. It's a whole thing. We should do a live just talking about that. How about that? About dating. That would be fun, fun, fun. But thank you so much, everybody. You girls rock. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the participation. Sending much love. I'll see you next Tuesday. God bless you. Bye.